Hello, my name is Jules Françoise and I will present Coda, the exploration of a collective improvisation practice involving dance and live coding that we conducted with Fdili Alaoui and Yves Candau. In this project, we're interested in integrating technology in dance improvisation. While dance and SIGCHI have a rich history, in most approaches, movement-based interactions are designed and programmed ahead of performances, which can limit the potential for movement improvisation. In this work, we investigate through a first-person inquiry the development of an improvisation practice involving dance and live coding, where the interactions between movement and sound are programmed on the fly. Our work builds upon related research at the intersection of SIGCHI and the arts, including design approaches that draw upon somatic practices, performance-led research, and live coding in music and the visual arts. At the root of the project, we are three SIGCHI researchers with a background in dance for Sarah and Yves and in music technology for myself. After previous collaborations, we wanted to push further the ideas of improvising with technology and improvising technology itself. This led us to envision an improvisation practice involving one or several dancers whose movements are measured using motion sensors, and one live coder who processes motion signals to generate feedback in real time. Such a scenario creates a multitude of feedback loops. The sound feedback influences the movement improvisation, which in turn inspires the coder to alter the relationships between movement and sound. We designed and developed Coda, an open-source software library and live coding environment dedicated to the design of continuous movement-sound interactions. We detail in the paper the main design principle and the implementation, as well as some of the key steps in a development process that was essentially practice-driven. For over 2 years, we engaged in regular improvisation sessions, which lasted up to an hour of uninterrupted improvisation. This approach differs from typical artistic rehearsals with technology, where artifacts are developed ahead of time and then evaluated. We wanted to avoid evaluating prototype as a form of judgment over the system's capabilities. We developed several structures to foster exploration and unexpectedness. In particular, verbal communication was not allowed during improvisations, so that problems and failures would be resolved through movement and code rather than through a verbalization of limitations. We now report on a number of lessons learned through our collective practice. We followed an autoethnographic method based on documenting our improvisation sessions in the studio. To do so, we transcribed the significant events from video recordings of the sessions and discussions, as well as our personal notes. Then, we conducted a thematic analysis from which three main themes emerged. First, through our sessions, we realized that there is a challenge in finding the sweet spot between ambiguity and control. The mapping between motion and sound must be readable to some degree, however simplistic mappings foster a control paradigm and Mickey Mousing that soon becomes frustrating for improvisers. As a matter of fact, we are seeking indirection, a conversational rather than instrumental relationship. As phrased by one of the dancers, understanding the link between the body and the sound is not so important after all. For me, this artistic practice is not cognitive, it's about feeling the connection to the other performance. Second, in most of our sessions, we observed that the performers played with repetition and sustained exploration of particular patterns. These phases of persistence were modulated by moments of rupture that would allow to break the flow of improvisation and introduce surprise. Navigating through persistence and rupture means that performers experience a continuous learning and adaptation process involving discovery, exploration, and appropriation. After an initial response of surprise, performers start experimenting and exploring movement variations to progressively and tacitly integrate the new action perception loop until it's fully appropriated. Finally, there is an inherent complexity to an interaction scenario where none of the performers feel in total control of the interaction. For dancers, the sound resulting from their movement is not entirely predictable, as it is ever changed by the programmer. For the live coder, uncertainty arises from the fact that programs are interpreted by another body. In fact, even when sessions started from the same mapping strategies, they always ended up in very different places. With complexity comes ephemerality. Indeed, the combination of the live coder's choices with their interpretation by the dancers creates moments that are not reproducible. We need to embrace such ephemerality and accept to lose what we create to some extent. Our work shows the benefit of being open to the emergence of unexpectedness, complexity, ephemerality, and shifts between repetition and rupture, control and ambiguity. Our improvisation practice offers opportunities to engage with designs in a way that promotes constant discovery, adaptation, and learning. Additionally, our experimentations show how designers can benefit from the exploration of entangled feedback loops, engaging early with technology, and experimenting through shared in situ experiences. Live coding brings the process of designing embodied interactions to a performance practice, which considerably affects the designer's experience in favor of risk-taking and on-the-fly problem-solving. Finally, we explored nonverbal communication as a substrate for embodied design. This constraint creates rich experiences with early prototypes because it structures attention and favors problem-solving through interaction rather than through judgment and evaluation. The main takeaway is that favoring long-term experimentation with interactive systems in the wild can help articulate how they can truly be used creatively in artistic practice. Thank you for your attention.